1972, Munich. The final of the Olympic tournament in freestyle wrestling over 100 kilograms. For one of the athletes, this final turned out to be an Olympic gold medal, and the densely filled auditorium erupted in loud applause and multilingual shouts. The victorious wrestler, raising up his mighty arms, bowed in all directions with a bewildered smile. Apparently, he had not yet fully realized his happiness. Then, the athlete wandered to the middle of the mat, kneeled, bent down and kissed the mat surface. That's how he said goodbye to the wrestling mat, an impassioned witness to the hundreds of disappointments and ups that this athlete had gone through during his 15-year grandiose career. That man was Alexander Medved, Soviet freestyle wrestler, 3-time Olympic champion in different weight categories. He won 7 times at the World Championships and 3 times at the European Championships. The wrestler has 9 gold medals of the Spartakiads and Championships of the Soviet Union. And in today's video will be presented a brief biography of this greatest wrestler in history. Alexander Medved was born on September 16, 1937 in the city of Belaya Tsurkov, Ukraine. He grew up and was brought up in his hometown in an ordinary Soviet family. In childhood, the boy had no specific sports preferences. His leisure time he spent both on the basketball court and on the soccer field. Also, Alexander willingly swam, jumped, ran and wrestled with friends in the local section. In 1956, Alexander was drafted to serve in the army. During the distribution, he got into the tank troops of the Belarusian military district. It was here that he became acquainted with wrestling. Having assessed the parameters of the young soldier, the officer for educational work took the Medved to the wrestlers, and who knew that it was this that predetermined his fate for the rest of his life. From the first days of training, Alexander demonstrated his skills, which a little remained from his childhood. Throughout the platoon began to spread rumors about a guy who shows good results in wrestling. Alexander grasped everything on the fly, all the techniques shown by the coach. The soldier Medved repeated exactly. At any second of the fight he could apply an uncommon technique, which was characterized by some creativity and lightning speed. In any sparring, Alexander Medved came out the winner. It was in the army that he developed a new character trait, absolute fearlessness. And these are not just words. He really did not care who he went to the mat with, whether it was a local champion or just a physically developed, healthy soldier. The first serious sports victory happened also in the army. A few months after the beginning of training, there was a tournament of the Red Banner Belarusian Military District. The honor of his company, of course, went to defend Private Medved. First, he became the winner of the championship in freestyle wrestling and sambo, and a few days later he took part in the tournament in classical wrestling, in which he took 3rd place. This was his first wrestling achievement, thanks to which he believed in himself and continued his hard training. In April 1961, Alexander debuted in professional sports. He took part in the Soviet Union Wrestling Championship and won it. Medved's opponents were no longer some army wrestlers, but real professionals whose career has many victories and achievements. However, Alexander, without feeling fear and apprehension, managed to defeat all the famous athletes and win the championship. Now Alexander Medved is a wrestler with a capital letter. He is the champion of his big and immense country. During the next council of coaches, it is decided that the new champion will go to the upcoming World Championship, which will be held in Japan. After the triumph in the national championship, the Soviet champion began to actively prepare for his debut World Championship. The coaches, as well as the athlete himself, understood perfectly well that this was now the most important event in his sporting career. But, unfortunately, he failed to win gold at the World Championships. Medved lost in the final to Wilfried Dietrich, a legendary wrestler from Germany. However, the Soviet wrestler performed very well, announcing his persona and champion potential to the whole world. In 1964, Medved made his debut at the Olympic Games in Japan. The first bout was against a Romanian titled wrestler, whom Bear defeated in just 2 minutes. Without any difficulties, Alexander reached the final and fought Bulgarian wrestler Vilko Kostola. This fight remained forever in the memory of old freestyle wrestling connoisseurs. Alexander Medved put his opponent down in 39 seconds and became the Olympic champion. Taking himself in a fist, reached the final and met with his old offender German Dietrich. Everyone was well aware that the German wrestler was facing not just a debutant, but a real champion who was not so easy to deal with. During the fight, Dietrich dislocated Alexander's finger, so the fight was stopped for medical assistance. But not even a minute after the fight was stopped, Alexander Medved one movement corrects his finger in front of the amazed audience and signals to the judges that the fight should continue. The dumbfounded German after such a gesture could not resist with dignity and after a few seconds surrendered. This is how the second Olympic gold medal was won. The next Olympic Games were held in Munich in 1972. Alexander Medved was already the captain of his national team. Here he met Dietrich again, but he overcame him without much effort and made it to the semifinals, where the American giant Chris Taylor was waiting for him. The weight of his opponent was 200 kilograms, and as some said, he was specially fattened for the fight with the Russian Bear. The stands were packed to capacity. The whole world wanted to see the confrontation of a huge 200-kilogram Taylor against a 100-kilogram Alexander. This dramatic fight ended with the victory of the Soviet athlete. The dodgy and technical Russian Bear thundered the American heavyweight to the floor. During this fight, Alexander injured his back, but this did not prevent him from winning his third gold medal in the final against Bulgarian Jurlev. It was the last Olympic Games for the Soviet wrestler. Alexander Medved is a 3-time Olympic champion in freestyle wrestling. He remained great and undefeated.